Hi, I'm Mike Shepard, and we'll be talking about static online sets, and this will be the excessive development set, which is from the Mirrors and Smoke mission. And I recommend, I would like you to like, comment, and subscribe to these videos to let us know what you think of them. And as is most of these missions, they launch with their own 3-week event where the rewards are unlocked each week in addition to a bonus reward for that week. Many of these had an enhanced universal tech upgrade or one specialization point reward for completing it once per week in the box. This afternoon we learned how to speed through the episode to get and basically all speedrun it. This episode wasn't one of those particularly ones that you could break away too far. The only thing we did in the episode that we would have cut out is the check the news sites and a few other scannings. But as this is a ground set, as that's a group of items where that is equipped, that have to be equipped to add bonus to. We only have stuff, and because ground sets are usually 3 pieces, there's only one ground set that is currently locked behind the event, which is actually now in the Phoenix box. Only 2 ground sets that have kits in both mission rewards, and we've gone through both missions at this as well. And this, like most of us, is weapon, armor, and shield. So, all stats are shown are going to be in the Mark 12 very rare, unless noted. Any stats will be dependent on your character or your ship, in this case your character. Unique mission gear will be given at Mark 12 very rare, unless noted. If you obtain the episode, if you manage to play the episode early, you'll get a mark appropriate version to your level. But at very rare, your item will also be freely upgraded to Mark 12 very rare quite quickly. Now, normally I would just go into the details about this, but I think I need to show off the weapon in a bit more detail. Over to me on Defective. Normally I wouldn't do a quick walk around with showing the weapon off in person. Well, here it is. Now, this is because this weapon is somewhat unique in the way it fires and stuff. Well, I'll explain with some of these bog drones. So, you fire a purple gloop and goes up against an enemy and poison them. And I also got to point out that this does, I believe, plasma damage. Because this plasma damage counts against the enemies. Alternatively, you can have a somewhat shorter range sploose, which covers a lot of people and very nice. On the third one, it drops a pile of the purple gloop around. And after a while, you get it, and I've just triggered the heal, and now I've locked it out. Now I'm going to flip back to the talk about the stats in more detail. Alright, the weapon in question, let's cover those stats. And the weapon in question is the Centauri Partisan Residium Thrower. Now, this is a plasma radiation shot, and is known as a plasma DOT, which does plasma damage over time, and it applies 1 to 3 stacks of plasma residium, and has a maximum of 10 stacks, and the damage scales with the amount of stacks you give it. And the max stacks you get, you do 112.9 damage per second, I believe it. I'm not. And it does some additional damage. And when you activate the secondary ability, it does a area of effect damage around your character. The damage scales with how many stacks of the purple gloop you fired initially from the plasma radiation shot, and it will consume any stacks of plasma radiation on the enemies. If you fire it straight away, you get basically 29.4 plasma damage, which is very low, because it does basically 3.7 DPS, and additional damage will over time increases over time with stacks. However, max stacks you'll get 397.5 damage, which is a lot more acceptable, and does a plasma burn for effectively a plasma burn for 5 seconds, which is very powerful at this time. So very nice to if you can get to do if you can manage to stack 10 stacks of plasma damage on the enemy before it dies. So moving on to the armor. Now, this armor has physical and kinetic damage, which you would expect on the ground, as well as some energy damage. Because this is the theme is about plasma damage. It's about poison damage. You get plasma and toxic resistance ratings, and you will gain additional hit points just purely for equipping the armor. And you have a 12.5 chance to gain nearly 200 temporary hit points for 60 seconds when you take damage when you have the set bonus equipped. So that's basically have all 3 things equipped. I didn't take that much damage when I was down on Defective, so you didn't. I don't think you might have seen it with a pink health bar. But moving on to the shield, the Centauri 45 personal shield has almost 400 shield capacity, which is pretty standard for Mark 12 very rare shield. It rapidly regenerates after taking damage after 6 seconds, or if you crouch, you will do it after 4. It reduces all environmental damage to shields by 25%, and you get a 20 after a 10. You get a 10% chance of getting a 20% damage buff for plasma weapons for 4 seconds after you take damage, and you get increased temporary hit points. Temporary hit points when you have the full set, but that's when you have the full. If you don't with the full 2-piece set, say. Now, talking about the defensive countermeasures and the other parts of the set, let's cover the Defensive countermeasures. You increase plasma damage, which the weapon of the system set uses, and the Kateri armor and shields, because you can equip, because it's a two-piece set, will have increased ability to increase hit points for 60 seconds when you take damage. And if you get all three pieces of set, you get a Residium reactant deployment, and it despite explosion basically drops a big pile of plasma damage. I'm not sure if I've used it properly yet, but it does do quite a bit of damage. So really, what is this set about? Really, this is a 3-piece set. So what is this set about? It's about doing poison damage. The secondary mode of the weapon really works if you stack a lot of poison damage. The defenses are actually more about protecting the user from poison damage from the poison damage types that the enemy put out, because plasma is often used with the equivalent of a poison-like effect, and this toxin is actually the poison type in tactical line. Now, the real question is this set good? Now, is this 3-piece set good? It's decent if you can use the weapon modes correctly. However, this requires a lot of skill and planning. Also, most foes would have fallen before you actually get to the point where you can actually use the secondary fire to full effect. It's actually somewhat okay against bosses, but suffers against crash mobs. And the poison damage defense isn't that common. But anyway, this has been Mike Sharkwriter. See you guys next time.